What is going on, everyone? My name is Boit, and today I wanted to have a chat about one town center gameplay. This is something that I think a lot of the lower level players might relate to a little bit more than what we actually see at the top level. And I think that maybe even the top level might be missing out a little bit on this, just based on their own sort of biases and mostly how do I speak? Their willingness to, basically they don't want to take risks. That's what I'm trying to say. Unwillingness to not... Anyways, top players don't really want to take risks most of the time, right? Because they want to back themselves and say, oh, I'm going to give myself the best chance to win by simply just ensuring that no matter what happens, I'm not going to fall behind, economically speaking. So they don't want to force themselves to take a fight that they don't otherwise want to have. It's part of the AOM fundamentals, right? We don't want to take a fight. We want to take fights on our own terms, right? So they say, okay, well, we'll do two town center play. We'll boom. We'll sit back. We'll play defensive, etc. We saw this from Mista. We saw this from Recon. We saw this from Magic. We saw this from Kavoth. There were some times where we saw the players going for something different, but most of those times it was more of a like control sort of one town center play, and a very, very forceful control, which doesn't quite work every single time if depends on the maps and things like that. So that's what we're going to talk about today. It's how do we decide when to go one town center, when to go two town center, and then also how to approach them, because every god is going to be different with how they want to do these one town center options. So right now we're playing on the map Tundra, and we're playing against Hades. Now, Hades is scary because he's for a one town center player, because generally speaking, that main base is going to be not able to be attacked. Now, that means that if the Hades player is going to go two town centers and you're going to go one town center, their main base is going to have sentinels. Their main base is, their second base is going to have sentinels, and their main base is going to have watchtowers. And like, that's somewhat scary, right? Even though everybody and their mum wants to say that towers don't do any damage, it's scary. The towers are sitting there, and you don't want to take damage because you can't, like, getting a little bit of damage onto a tower doesn't really do anything. Anyways. So what do? Well, we have to start looking a little bit more closely at what the map is showing us. So right now I've seen the third town centers, and I'm saying, okay, if I can deny third town centers here, his second town center's got nothing on it. I don't care. I really don't care if he goes for a far second town center here. And in fact, I want him to go for that second town center at the top. If he grabs that terrible, terrible town center, now I get to choose when I force the fight. Because I'm going to force a fight when I'm on one town center, but I get to choose when I do it. Because there's so many different places for me to just pressure. Now, I might not be able to get that much damage done in terms of like raids and stuff. So he's going to probably get to somewhere close to double my villages, maybe. But one way to counteract this is to, say, build some oracles as Atlantean. If you're playing as Egyptian, it's to build some monuments. If you're playing as Norse, well, it's just keep playing Norse. Norse is good at these one town center gameplays. If you're playing, who's the last one? Greek. Well, Greek has got their own little myth unit sort of ideas as well. And effectively, all of these one town center ideas need to incorporate some sort of myth unit shenanigans, just because it forces your opponent to have to build heroes, which do cost a lot of resources, right? And then that's going to make them spend their resources. That's the important thing. We need to make our opponents spend resources. So that does mean taking some, trying to put some raids on, which maybe don't do a whole lot, but you just want to be forcing your opponent to do things. So I'm going to be opening up here with these Terma. I haven't really scouted his main base. This is a little bit bad of me, but I also don't want to lose any oracles. The more I play Atlantean, the more I think the big weakness of Atlantean is that I don't really get to scout their main base. If I'm playing as Greek, obviously I can send the Katoskopos in there. If I'm playing as Norse, I can send a Berserk in there, no problems. If I'm playing as Egyptian, I can sneak up some obelisks kind of close but outside the line of sight to get similar thing to what the Atlanteans get. But if I get too close, then they can come and shank me down, or worse, with a villager, or worse, send something else in. So I get lucky here. I don't have to commit to the one town center. Let's just pause here, actually. So right at this moment here, I don't have to continue this all in. If I see nothing at any point here, I can just say, great, I got some turnaround. I'm going to poke and I'm going to get my own town center. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with putting up like a 5-minute, 30, 6-minute town center. It's just not 100% efficient. But I see forward hunt here. This gives me the go ahead to say, hang on, you didn't go for your food here at this point, which means it's open for me to raid non-stop. This is a big deal because I know he's got berries somewhere, whatever. He's got no aurochs left because he's had to eat those. The caribou on the front. He's got some goats. So I can get good damage done here. So this is my green flag to say, all right, let's go full steam ahead. We're going one town center and putting a lot of pressure onto here. Nonetheless, at this point, he's going to throw his sentinels down. We have to be a little bit careful here on our attacks. He's also got himself watchtowers already. So this is like, I've already done a gigantic amount of damage. I see he's on one town center, at least that's what I would assume. He might have a village center, but he's on one town center. And I'm like, okay, so what is he doing? If I think he's on one town center, I think he's probably going to the heroic age, right? He's going through Ares, which means he's got a Cyclops and he's got a whole bunch of powerful units he can get with the hoplites and everything like that. Hippaspis and stuff. So I've got to be careful about what he's doing. But at this point, I just need to continue to hit this food because if he's going one town center and wants to get to the heroic age, no worries. If he's going, I should kill all of this hunt here as well right now. And that's what we're going to do. If we kill all the hunt at the front here, at least we can push in and continue to raid. So just, I don't even care if I'm getting villagers kills here or not. I just want to keep getting damage in. But nonetheless, we've now successfully pushed him off this hunt here. And we have to start looking for something else. Now, what I probably should do is get some line of sight here. Move an Oracle in and just make sure that I see what's happening. I leave a Terma on that position and do some patrols. So that's basically the line of sight I need. But at this point, it's one town center and to go here. No matter what he's doing, I don't care. If he goes for a heroic age, it's fine. We're just going to keep pumping out units, and we're just going to try and control him off of stuff. And if we take a good fight, kill off a whole bunch of villagers, and we win the game, great. If we take a good fight, kill off a bunch of villagers, and the game continues, that's fine as well. As I see, he's got himself a stable, which means okay, that just means time to get some catapulties out now. No problems. He's sneaking this food up yet again, but just with a handful of villagers. So I'm not even, like I said, I don't even care about killing the villagers here. I'm just trying to delay his income as much. If I get villager kills, it's all the better. But yeah, I'm just pumping units and we're just trying to put pressure on. Like any sort of damage is good because I'm not actually falling that far behind. There's this concept that is like sort of, I think a lot of the Age Mythology crew from Legacy will sort of resonate with this. There's this concept that it takes around about 5 minutes for a town center to pay itself off, and that is technically the case in Retold, but there's also a completely different factor that you can't really account for, which is, well, I didn't go for a town center, but I did go for an extra oracle, and I might get extra oracles out and all the other good stuff. Now I see he's got his village center here, and I go, great. I don't even care. This is like whatever. If he wants to go for a village center here, this is like he went for 2 town centers anyways, but it's just worse. So that's really, really good for me, in my opinion, in continuing this 1 town center aggression. If he went for that 2 town center, it's also fine. Like, but I guess the strength of the village center is there's just less for me to attack. But now I've got a whole bunch of favor, and it's time to start really committing into this attack here. I could have thought about going heroic age or something, but it's time to commit to an attack. Basically got to spend our favor because that's 700 resources in the bank right there that I need to spend. So it's time to get those out as my Terma can sort of poke in here and snipe some Deuterinos. But yeah, he's got some actual Hippias out. Now I do have a whole bunch of these catapulties, so not a problem for me. I'm more than happy to take this fight. If he wants to fight me now, this is on my terms. I'm happy. So we're good to go. And yeah, the catapulties are more than enough to deal with the small amount of the small amount of Hippias he's got. But after this, we've got to be thinking about the next part. So we've constricted him to his base. He hasn't been able to leave his base. So where are the next sort of big gaping weaknesses? Well, it's always going to be on the gold mine. Now, how can he grab a gold mine in this position? Well, he could get Heroic Age and drop a fortress down. That would be a little bit difficult, but I'm going to have a whole bunch of Prometheans to kill it off anyway. So I'll go and attack it at least and try and make a good trade if I screw up there. What else could he do? Can he sneak a gold mine at the top of the map? I don't know. But at the moment, we've got all of our sort of buildings in the right spots, our oracles in the right spots. I do recommend here, actually, if you're playing the one towns in a game, you've got to keep on getting those military buildings down. But with Kronos and also other civs, if you've got like a forward villager or something, go ahead and put a building up on the gold mine. That's so strong. It's well worth it. And after all of this pressure on the Caribou, it looks like he doesn't even want to move back onto them. He might go to there after he finishes the herdables, but nonetheless, we forced him onto herdables earlier, which means he has run out of food. And you can see that the score of the Hades is actually creeping up to catch up to me. This doesn't matter. Don't panic at this. He's going to have more score than you, but he's not going to have more military than you. The other thing is, small thing, but big thing, is let's say you're at 175 pop, and he's at 175 pop. Right? This actually hurts him a little bit because he's not going to be able to get that next town center up because he's probably going to have double the amount of villages as you do. Well, not double, but almost double. So let's say you're at 175, which with let's say 48 villager pop, he's probably going to be at 70 villager pop. So you've got an extra 30 or 20 population of military there to win the fight. So, and he's going to have to take a fight. So regardless, you're going to win that fight. And yes, he's going to be able to repopulate if he's got gold. But we win that fight, which means we can then get some sort of an advantage after it. So these one town center ideas just make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, of course you can make two town center work, especially at the top level. But like these sort of just control the map and just get all the units out makes so much sense to me. Now, he's in the Heroic Age. I'm scared of things like the Pacifist. I'm scared of things like Hippias. With my army composition here, I'm scared of Peltast. But I've got so many Prometheans, and I'm going to try and get to the Heroic Age myself here, because if I do, I get access to even more powerful Prometheans, because they get a little bit of a boost, so that's always nice. A little bit short on gold, but I'm about to get there. And maybe one thing he could do here is push, and this has been I probably shouldn't fight here. The curse does hurt a little bit. I want to be going to the next age, but forcing him back for the time being. He's not actually wanting to fight. He's just poking. But yeah, any amount of damage here is good. But yeah, we're basically baiting at the moment. If you want to basically fight at full pop if you can. But anyways, we managed to click up to the next age, and we can fill up the rest of our population with Prometheans and things like that. Our villagers here finishing up. We can go pretty much all over onto wood as well, because we probably want to make ourselves a whole bunch of Satyr here, or Arcus, or things like that. Maybe making some Contarius or something as well isn't a terrible idea. But yeah, at the moment it's all in until we get a good fight. He does throw away some Hippias here, which is really nice for us. We catch him out on that. And you can see how far behind we are in score at the moment, actually. He's got so much more stuff than us, but it doesn't matter. I really don't think it matters. It all comes down to a fight at some point here. And I'll say it a million times. I think this fight, I don't have to win. If I win, I win the game. If I lose it really hard, I lose the game. But if it goes like pretty nice, the game just continues. And then we get a really cool, like, okay, now I go into town centers. Now we're both stuck in the Heroic Age, and it's very messy. It's very fun. But yeah, you have to go into this sort of a style of play if you want to experience that. But nonetheless, we get some Contarius out. We got Chaos. He still hasn't gone to a second gold mine, I imagine. I don't actually know for certain. I think I also got, I don't know if I got yeah, I think I did. I got the technology signal fires so that you can see a little bit more on those buildings, which is nice. Now he's actually, I didn't scout it, but he is actually on another town center here. So that population advantage I was talking about at 175 pop does sort of go away, but he is really He's really trading for gold, I think. 13, 14 minutes into the game, he's only now finished up on the gold in his main base. Maybe he's been trading, maybe he hasn't. The units are kind of cheap. And now we get to take our fight, and this is the fight we want. And the pacifists can attack each other. We can get our catapultis over there to attack the Hippias. Prometheans will come in and clean up all of this stuff. Now, this fight, insanely good for us. We win this fight so hard because of, I don't know, maybe poor control or something on his part, but we had the catapultis on the right units, and he says he hates proms, but realistically, the catapultis dominated him there. But yeah, he loses that fight and he taps out. But you can just see how powerful one town center play is on a map like this. Now, you have to make sure the map is like this. If the golds are safe, then there's almost nothing you can do, right? He gets the second town center up, he puts sentinels down, and you're going to try and pressure it, but you can't get onto the gold mine, and he's going to outscale you. It's going to be very difficult. But if all the gold mines are forward, then all of a sudden, you're all good. Now, I'm chatting with him and saying, you know, maybe you could actually go one town center here instead of 2 town centers. And I actually think that's kind of true, because what you can do is by taking fights earlier, the Promethean numbers aren't going to go up. You want to be taking those earlier fights against the myth unit spam. Sure, if you go for Hoplite, Hippias, Hero, and you're taking early fights, then those Promethean numbers can't really scale up. That's sort of the sort of idea. And you can't really do that when you're on 2 town centers sitting in your main base, because I'm just going to pump them out and I'm going to get the huge amount of numbers, and it's going to be really good. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this sort of an idea. 1 town center play. Let me know if your game's normally a 1 town center or normally a 2 town center at whatever level you're at. I'm really interested to hear what the meta feels like for you guys. And let me know if this is something that you actually like in Age of Mythology. Do you like the fact that this sort of a strategy exists? Would you prefer to have the booming strategies, the 2 town center strategies, be even stronger than they are? Let me know what you think. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next game.